We have the beginning of a new update, and this time it is the beginning of 1.21 and it is 1.21.2, and we've got two release candidates at the same time. We've got a release candidate 2 that they have said is to account for a possible future fix for prospecting on border regions. Now, it looks to me as if most of release candidate 1 and release candidate 2 are trying to sort out issues that they've got. It seems to be a lot about chunk loading, and they said that unfortunately a change we've made in the 1.21 caused the wrong prospecting pick results in some areas in older worlds, specifically within a few hundred blocks of the 120-121 chunk border. This is now fixed for new world gen, but readings in old border regions will remain incorrect for now. I have to say that is pretty difficult, because although the chunk borders are marked, there's no real marking of the different world gen borders between 120 and 121, unless you're in my world, in which case you have massive cliffs, because I took one of the early release candidates. But it seems that this might be being, worked on as we speak. They say they've got a lot of work in getting elk riding as smooth and tightly controlled as possible, both in single player and multiplayer. And they say the second boss fight should be less janky now. Now, I think that the second boss fight must be the one in the Desolation, because there's a huge boss fight in the Resonance Archive. The Lazaret didn't seem to me to have a huge boss fight, just innumerable sort of annoying aphids. So I think that they mean the Desolation, because I went to the village and that doesn't have a boss fight in it. So I think they're talking about the Desolation there. They've been affecting the moon. It's now gone back to a squared moon, but with the correct level of illumination, and they've said that's still work in progress. They have reduced the mob spawn on medium, high and very high rift activity, whereas the low and apocalyptic is unchanged. I find that a huge plus, thank you. They've made the torch particles more intense. I haven't actually upgraded to this yet. I'm still looking at it, deciding whether this is the moment. So torches will look better. And they've got a lot about the height of hitboxes, of crucibles, crocks, pots, to be easier when targeted on a table. And they say that the stone spears can now be ground stored on a 2-block high wall instead of 3. That's a small change, but I'm sure it's helpful. They've also said that the sleek doors are now airtight and will create a room such as a cellar or greenhouse. Thank you, devs. That's really nice. There's a lot of other things here, and they've added a Hungarian translation. They've also added debug logging for villagers spawning and despawning. Okay, fair enough on that one. I think there's a lot of sort of small things here that are being polished up, and I think that's really, really good. There are some things like improved loading times for translocators, teleporters and rift wards, which I am very grateful for, because I use a lot of translocators and teleporters. But added to that list of improved loading times is cheese curds bundle. How fantastic. Cheese curds are obviously causing a lag problem. You couldn't make this up. And it says improve loading times for a large number of signs. Now, I think a lot of big servers have loads and loads of signs when you first joined them, and I have a lot of, and we all have a lot of signs in our houses as we label things. And they've gone on about improved loading times for large numbers of crates and labelled crates and barrels. So they're really working on these loading times. There's quite a lot of, bits and pieces, but there's a rare crash apparently when another player holds hot items in tongs, and they have managed to fix that. And they fixed a long-standing lighting bug where rooms and caves don't become dark when closed, okay? So there's lots and lots of fixes here. And it looks to me as if, I mean, they've worked a lot on the second boss fight. You can see that they've worked a lot on that. Frankly, the desolation looks so difficult, I'm not sure I'd even go there. Apparently bowls in the village were missing. I didn't notice that. But they have really, really looked at loads and loads of things that are fix, which is fantastic. And it looks to me as if they are polishing up the game, but they're also trying to get a good foundation on the loading of the game and the time it takes to load. So as far as I can see, in Release Candidate 1 and Release Candidate 2, there is nothing that has significantly changed. They are just trying to mend things and to make the game as it is much, much better. So I think this looks very, very positive, the whole thing. It looks as if they're trying to make the game more fluid to play so that they're not waiting for lags, and also getting rid of lots of little oddities. And I think that's a really, really positive thing to do. So no huge news of super new structures or tools or mechanisms yet, but good news on the basics. The one thing to be wary of is if you can remember where the border is between your old generated world and the 1.21 generated land, then you should certainly be very careful about prospecting in that area. So we start on a new chapter. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure you are all too. Bye bye, my friends.